Yeah, we're going to start from the Mishnah. We did it. We got to the bottom page on Lamed Ches. Start the Mishnah again. Take a minute. Norman. Mishnah on 38a. Nara shenisarsin nisgarsho. You had a girl, she's 12 years old, and she was divorced before she was 12 and a half. Subsequently, she was raped. Okay, so she was raped as a single woman. But she was married only Kedushin-wise, so she's still a virgin. Even though she's a virgin, she's a nara, she doesn't receive knas. She receives knas, however, knas la'atzma. She's the recipient of the knas. Okay? My time, Rabbi Yosef Glili. Why does Rabbi Yosef Glili say only if she was never married does she get knas? It says, which woman is raped? The girl, the nar, which she's a woman who was never betrothed. Asher lo rosa lish. So what's the inference? Ho rosa, if she was betrothed, although she's divorced, ain't lo knas. That's how Rabbi Yosef Glili interprets the pasuk. You following? Reb Kiva says, Asher lo rosa lo avia. When it's lo rosa, who's the recipient of the knas? The father. Ho rosa, but if she was betrothed, latzma, she's the recipient of the knas. So Maresko Elimiata Nara v'lo bogeres. 1 second. So why don't we make that same thing? We should say, Nara v'lo bogeres, hochanami. Latzma besula v'lo bula, hochanami. Latzma. Elo legamri, hochanami legamri. Meaning like this, the Gemara says, maybe we should say, as we're saying, what was if she's lo rosa, the father gets it. If she's a rosa, she receives it. So let's say the same thing. Nara, if a nara is raped, that's when the father gets it. But if she's a bogeres, she gets it. Something similar. Let's deal, because we say, whatever the pasuk speaking, that's only regard to the father. Right? So on that, the Gemara says, no. Hochanam l'atzma b'sula v'lo bula. Hochanam l'atzma el gamri. Hochanam el gamri. So we say, so what? We read it? No. Knas is only this context, no other context. So how does Reb Kiva know that if she's married, it goes to her? Just as we say regarding Nara means not a bogeres, and Nara means not a Be'ula. And it's not limited to the father, it means it's this way and no other way. So the same thing Reb Kiva should say, if she's married and divorced, she shouldn't get Knas, as Rabbi Yosef Glili is saying. Because the pasuk says, when do you pay Knas? Only it's Lo Rosa. Amalek Reb Kiva. So Reb Kiva answers. Hi lo rosa mi boy like. You know why? Because the pasuk lo rosa I need for something else. Lo rosa is not coming to exclude the case where she's married, where she was married. It says lo rosa prat lenarish in sarsin is garsho. She'en lo kanas de Rabbi Yosef Glili. Yeah, that's Rabbi Yosef Glili says. What does it say? Asher lo rosa to exclude the case where she was married and divorced. Okay, that's Rabbi Yosef Glili. Reb Kiva Omer yesh lo kanas knos lo via. 1 second. No, she's knas, and not only that, the knas goes to her father. Even if she was married, she's divorced, the knas goes to the father. But you know, saying, and it's logical. Yeah, it's compelling, logically compelling. Why? Hova v'yazake b'kes kudusheo, v'yazake b'kes of knaso. Right? What's between the age of 12 and 12 and a half? A minor 12 and 12. Let's see, she works. Her earnings. Who receives her earnings? The father. And if he marries her, who has the right to marry her? The father has the right. And he receives the money for marriage. Right? So I would say the same thing. Who receives the kanas? He should receive the kanas. What's the halacha? We spoke about this case. Let's say a father marries off his daughter, kedushin. Could she go to chuppah without the father's permission? No. She's in the domain of the father through nisuin. Let's say now he marries her fully, and then she gets divorced. Once the daughter fully leaves the domain of the father, she never returns. What about there was kedushin, and she's divorced? She returns to the domain of the father, right? She returns. So the same thing over here. He married her off. So she's divorced. Where is she now? She's back in the domain of the father. So if that's the case, so if she's back in the domain, now she's raped. In whose domain was she raped? She was raped in the domain of the father, so the father should get knas. That's what Reb Kiva is saying. They're nosing. Hova v'yizake b'kesav kedushel. The father receives the kesav kedushin. But via Zakeh because of Kenoso, and normally the Torah says who receives the money for the penalty, the father. Ma kes kedusha pishin is arasav in this garsha. Lo avio, even if she's divorced, the father now marries her a second time. After kedushin, who gets the kes of kedushin? The father. Av kes kedusha pishin is arasav in this garsha. Even though she was divorced, she was married and divorced. Now she's back, right? The lo avio, the knash go to the father. It came matam lo mashelo rosso. So what does lo rosso comes? If that's the case, lo rosso is totally superfluous. So he says mufted lehekish, yeah. Lahakish lo v'lodim exer shova. It's reasonable lo rosso is to teach us something. Exer shova. It's considered an extra word, superfluous. Nema kanash lo rosso, nema lahalon ash lo rosso. Ma lahalon nun. Hear this, terrific. Now, how do we know the knas, the penalty, is 50 coins, 50 shkolim? Because we find 50 mentioned by where? By the woman who's seduced, right? You have two cases there. A nar who's raped and a nar who's seduced. It's called mafute. So it says asher lo rosa, it says lo rosa by the case of the seduction. So just as over there it's 50, over here it's 50. Ma lahalon, ma kanun, aflalon nun, ma lahalon shkolim, even though it says 50. But how do it's, maybe it's 50 cents. 50 prutos. How do we know it's shkolim? Afkan shkolim. Okay? Now he's asking for numbers. So now, Ashelu also, Reb Kiva, the way he learns it, it's not an exclusion, correct? But rather, what is it? It's Xereshova, just to tell me how much, what they are. That it's nun, just as here it's 50, there it's 50, just as over there it's shkolim, here it's shkolim. So Mara asks a good question. No, my chosis Ashelo Rosa Gezereshov. Ashelo Rosa, when it says she was not betrothed, is not coming to exclude if she was previously betrothed. But yet, when it says a psula, she was a nara psula. She was a nara who was a virgin who was raped. So what does that come to exclude? Let's say she was a nara and she was already a bula. Then you don't pay knas. She has to be a virgin. Amo, this is what we should say. Besula Gzereshova. Maybe Besula is coming for Gzereshova. Ashelo Rosa Prat Lenaro. Shedisas Neskarsho. Ashelo Besula like this. Why do I use Ashelo Rosa to tell me to learn the Gzereshova 50 and Shkolim? It says Besula in both places also. Let me learn Besula. So Besula is not coming to exclude the Bula. And Ashelo Rosa is coming to exclude the girl who was married and divorced. Yeah, it's a phenomenal question. Why do you use one as an exclusion, the other one as a link? Use the other one as a link, and the other one as an exclusion. And Rav Kiva should concur with who? With Rav Yosef Glili. Rav Yosef Glili says if she was previously married and divorced, she does not receive knas. Right? Phenomenal question. It's all logical. And therefore, it's Zereshova, you're not excluding the Bula. That comes to exclude the Nara who was betrothed and divorced. So Mor says, Mistavra, it's more logical to say, why? Sharani Kore Bo Nara Besula. Because she's called the Nara Besula. Nara is linked to Besula. Right? Yeah. Women, they mean like this. If a woman is Nisarsa, what is she called? She's still Nara Besula. Okay, so that's it. So Ashelo Rosso, who was betrothed? Nara Besula. So therefore, therefore, that's to identify the person. So therefore, that's an exclusion. Nara Besula V'lo. Right? So therefore, Ashelo Rosso is not, because it's obvious, since I'm identifying her, Nara Besula, therefore, it's coming to exclude the Be'ula. Sharani Korabo B'sula. Adra B'sula L'Gzereshov Sharani Korabo Ashelo Rosa. The Gemara says, why? Why, when you identify her as Nara B'sula, why is that more of an identification than Ashelo Rosa? She hasn't been betrothed. The Stavro, Hoishtani Gufa, Lushtani Gufa. You have the difference. You know, a girl, she's naturally, she's a virgin. She's born a virgin until something changes it. Whether you marry them, that's something external. So if we're speaking about a state of being, what is cloaked? When I want to identify you as a state of being, what are you? Nara Besula. Because that's the essence of the person. Married or not married, what is that? That's something that happened. So therefore, Who was raped? Nara Besula. That's her being. So if that being was changed, she's a bula, you don't pay knas. Therefore, he uses Shelo Rosa for the Gzera Shabbat, but not as an exclusion. Rabbi Yosef Glili, High Svar Minoli. So why does Rabbi Yosef Glili disagree? Rabbi Yosef Glili uses Shelo Rosa as an exclusion. Why? Nafkalei, High Svar Minoli, Nafkalei Meditanya. It says, Kesef Yishkol Kimora Bosulos. You hear this? It says that if a woman is seduced, you have to give silver, Yishkol Shkolim, the equivalent of morbisul, the dowry of a virgin. Shezek morbisulus. That means the rape, the penalty you pay is the equivalent of the dowry. Umnor psulus kozeh. Okay? No, which means the dowry you pay is similar to this, and that's it. So it's 50. No, it's 50 shkolim. Which is 200. What's it called? Dinarim. Yeah. Now the Gemara asks, Kasher Reb Kiva, Ag Reb Kiva. We have a contradiction of Reb Kiva. What's the contradiction of Reb Kiva? Yeah. Before we quoted the Bryce, it says, who receives the knas? The father. Our Mishnah says she receives the knas if she was married. So how do we reconcile the two? Trei Tanoi leaves Rebbe Kiva. There's an argument where Rebbe Kiva said. There's a machlokes among the Tanoim. What did Rebbe Kiva say? Did he say if she was betrothed and divorced, she gets it? Well, no. The father still gets it. Okay, Trei Tanoi leaves Rebbe Kiva. Bishlam Rebbe Kiva demaslisin. Rebbe Kiva in the Mishnah says what if she was betrothed? She gets it. Right? The Gzera Shava cannot change the pasuk totally. You know, there's a concept. It's called Pshuto Shel Mikra. Even though we interpret something, you still have to read it according to simple reading of the pasuk. It says in the pasuk, who receives the knas? The father. That's what it says. Right? That's what it says. So we said, even though it seems to be only if she wasn't married, we say, no, that only comes for some other reason. It's not coming to exclude. So he's asking, according to Rav Kiva in the Mishnah, who receives the knas? She receives it. But the pasuk doesn't say that. Where does it allude to any degree in the pasuk that she receives the knas? That's the first question. It says, exactly. Mar says, Rega, Right? What are we saying? We're saying if she's betrothed, if she's not betrothed, who gets the knas? The father. Right? That's the pasuk. And if she was betrothed and divorced, the father doesn't get it. So who gets it? She gets it. The Brisa says no. That even if she was betrothed, the father still gets it. So but that's not the way the pasuk reads. The pasuk reads, when does the father get it? Only if she wasn't betrothed. We still have to deal with the simple reading of the pasuk. Our Mishnah works out good with the simple reading of the pasuk. When does the father get it? When she was not betrothed. So what's the inference? If she was betrothed, she'll get it. They still knas. But according to the Brisa says that even when she was betrothed, the father still gets it. The simple reading of the pasuk says that if she's betrothed, the father does not get it. So how do you reconcile the Brisa with the simple reading of the pasuk? That's the first question. Or keep it a Brisa asking her Shava Mafkim Pashi Gamri. Omer of Nachma Yitzchok Koribe Asher Lo Arusa. It should not be read Asher Lo Oroso, Asher Lo Arusa, meaning only if she's not married. Orosa means she was not married. She was not a married woman, but presently she's divorced. Arusa means when do you pay the knas? If she's not married, she's not an arusa. She's not in the betrothed state. At that point, said Moraes, I need a pasuk for that. It's Kimli Midrabi me. The Moraes, Baskili. She's a Baskila. If she commits, right? If what's his name? If the rapist rapes her when she's 12 years old and she's a married woman, is there even a consideration you pay knas? When do you pay if she's not an arusa? And if she's an arusa, you pay knas. What's even the consideration? the man is deserving the death penalty, right? So that's the first question. So Mor says no. So kedach lemi ho b'chidushu shechidusha Torah b'knas aval gav de miktal mishalim. I would say, hear this, that even though normally we say kim leim dramine, that's only when dealing with restitution, damages. Knas is not a damage; it's a penalty. So maybe a penalty you would say you pay, even though there's skila. The Torah says no. If she's not rusa, you don't pay. Not because kim leim dramine. So what we had a Rabbi earlier, he says no, factually, he argues with the Mishnah, he has an opinion, that even if she's put to death, you pay knas. You pay knas. Michael and Meimar. So how do we reconcile it with the Posuk? Sovalo, Rabbi Akiva, the Masnisin. He also Rabbi Akiva of the Mishnah, that what? No, that what? That she gets it. Eno chenamik. That if she was married and divorced, who gets the knas? She and not her father. Valdik. Nobody have any questions? She's a victim. She's a victim. She's a victim. No, even 12. 12, she seduced also. She seduced. If she seduced and she was forewarned, she'll be subject to that penalty. Yeah, but where it says, no, but it says where it says Asher lo rosa, there she's being raped. That person's doing rape, so there's no way she's going to what's his name. But we're talking about, but who's paying the penalty? The rapist. So Mar says, but if she's a married woman, he's put to death. Says he's put to death. How do you impose on him the penalty? So Mar says that's what Torah is saying. You would think since it's chidush, you should. Torah is saying, no, you don't. You do say kimlim rabbine. So Mar asks, what about according to Rabbah? Rabbah holds that factually, you do say, even when there's the death penalty, since it's not restitution, where do we learn kimlim rabbine from? From restitution. Where the woman miscarries and she dies. So when it's death penalty and restitution, you don't pay the restitution. But here, we're not talking about restitution. This is penalty. Rabbah holds that what? That you pay the penalty, even when there's the death penalty. Okay? No, we make no differentiation. It could be penalty, same thing. Kimli mitrami. There's the death penalty. The court does not enforce the lower level. Okay? Okay. Howard, you're okay with this? Yeah. Okay, it's clear. Just remember Mr. Finkelstein from Fifth Avenue Synagogue, Mr. Shams, Fifth Avenue Synagogue. So I used to say, David, is it clear? He says, it's clear as mud. That was his answer. Always. Okay. Tan Rabbanon. Knasalami, we learned the rights. Who receives the knas? Okay? Well, Torah says the father receives it. Knasalami. Lavio, who receives it? The father. V'yishomrim latzma. She receives it. She receives it. Mers latzma mai. Why should she receive it? The pasuk says the father receives it. Right? Amai Omar Rav Chizda Hochem Menarim Shur Niskarshas. We're not talking about a woman who's never married and is raped. Of course, a girl who's 12 years old, she's raped, a virgin. Torah says explicitly the father receives it. The discussion over here is if she was married and subsequently divorced, who receives it? Does the father receive it, or does she receive it? So that's what we had before. That's Machlokes Reb Kiva and Rabbi Glili. Rabbi Yosef Glili says, right, neither receive it. Wait, look to Reb Kiva, the Masnisa, Reb Kiva the Bryce, that's the argument. Rabbi Yosef Glili says nobody receives it. Right? If once she's married, there's no knas. Reb Kiva, we had an argument. Does she receive it, or does the father receive it, even though she was married? There were two versions. There was an argument. What did Reb Kiva say? Omer Abaye, listen to the story. Bo leo mesa, potur. Let's say he rapes her, and the court didn't rule yet about the rape. So normally the father gets it, right? The father gets it. Let's say by the time the court issues the verdict, the woman died already. Unrelated to the rape. She died. Because otherwise he's a murderer. I mean, if he died as a result of the rape. She died. Boleo Mesa Potter. the rapist does not pay the father. Why? When you pay it, you have to pay it to the father of the naro. After she's dead, she's not called naro any longer. She died. To the father of the naro, and not the father of the corpse, the one who passed on. What's this? Mills of the Pshita Labai, mi boiler the Rava. Yeah? What Abaye understands simply, it's understood you don't pay if she dies, you don't pay the father. Okay? Mi boiler the Rava. Rava posed it as a question. The boy Rava posed the question. What, excuse me? See, Rashi learns, Achlo Omde Bedin. Talking about before the ruling, before the verdict. She died before the verdict. So what's the verdict? The verdict is the court says you must pay the father of the naro. So let's say at the time of the verdict, she already died. Could the court say you must pay the father of the naro? There's no naro. So therefore, Abaye says there's no kanas. Because the court can't issue that kind of verdict. The verdict has to be you shall give it to the Avini Anaira. So it says what was simple to Abaye was questionable to Rava. What was the boy Rava? Yish baga bekever, ain't baga bekever. Yedashayla. Now, if she'd be a Bulgaris, let's say she was raped when she was a Bulgaris, would you give her the knas? No. Correct? It says you rape. It's only if you rape a nara. Person rapes a girl, she's 12 and a half. Although she's a virgin, there's no knas. So we have a shayla like this. We're saying the Torah says the ruling is give it to the father of the nara. So let's say she died as a nara. But let's say if she'd be alive today, she'd be 14 years old. Let's say the court didn't get around to give it. Let's say we had to bring witnesses. The court finally gave the ruling. If she would have been alive, she would have been 14 years old. Right? Do we look at her as if, let's say she's alive. She didn't die. Would the court rule that he has to pay the knas? No. You know why? Because she's Aviha Habogeres. The court, at the time of the ruling, they have to rule, give it to the father of the Nara. Nara presently. So if she's already beyond 12 and a half, they can't say give it to the father of the Nara. There's no Nara any longer. Because now she's a Bulgaris. So Rava posed the question like this. Listen to the interesting question. Let's say she died as a Nara. So if she died as a Nara, and you say she's Nara even after she dies, do we look at her, if she'd be alive, she would have been beyond Nara? So that's called Yesh Baga Bekever. Even though, do we say Baga, even though she's in the grave, she already matured. Because if theoretically she'd be alive today, would she be a Nara? She wouldn't be a Nara. Or do we say, you know something, the clock stops when she dies. So when the court gives the ruling, even 25 years later, the ruling is Avi Nara. Because she never advanced beyond 12 and a half. Because she died before. That's Rava's question. Do you look at her as if she'd be alive and she'd be beyond 12 and a half? Or do we say, no, the moment she dies, the story's over, the clock stops. So give to the father of the Nara, because when she died, she was a Nara, and the clock stopped at that moment. That's the question Rava poses. Interesting question. One second. Wait, 1 second. No, it comes out tremendous nafkamina. Let's say, in the case, she was raped at 12. She didn't die yet. She got married. She has a family. After rape, not the rapist. That's not the rape. She gets married. She has a family. Now she dies. Now she dies. The court rules he has to pay knas. The rapist has to pay knas. Now it says we say that. 1 second. Let's say Yishbaga bekever ki hecha di'im lo ispiko lamod bedin chbrogro tanan lekamon shlispatzo. We say later, if the ruling of the court was not given until she became fully mature, and now she's 15, the Gemara says in the 4th parak, who receives the knas? She receives the knas. You only give it lavi nara. She's not a nara, you give it to her. Yeah? Yeah, the question. that's the case, and let's say she died then, she wasn't alive, so who do you give it to? You give it to her heir. Who inherits a mother? The son. Okay? So therefore, Hashtanami bag bekev mafkir kochav ubeno yoris lo im yesh lo ben. So the same thing would be, let's say, well, we have according to one. No, we have one position. We had a position before, like if she was married and divorced, she gets, the father doesn't get it. Right? So the same thing over here we're saying, that if he's the father of the Nara, that's when he gets it. But if he's no longer the father of the Nara, because today she's a Bulgaris, she gets it. So if she subsequently she dies, and she has a son, who's going to get it? The son's going to inherit it. The father's not in the picture. Father only inherits a daughter if there's no children. If the daughter doesn't have a child has precedence for inheritance before the father, right? Rabbi Kiva holds. That's Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva holds that's either her or the, what's it called? It's either her or her father. Before it's a father, afterwards it's her, according to the Bryce, according to Rabbi Kiva. Right? According to the Mishnah, our Mishnah. Mishnah's, if she's 12, right? If she wasn't married, then who gets it? The father gets it. If she's married, then she gets it. Right? Okay, so good. So same thing. Yeah. Right. No, that's his question. No, that's if she's alive, we hold that way. She is. You deal with her in her present state, and she gets the knas. He's quoting the word that she will get the knas. She will get the knas because the money, the ruling was given to Avia. It's only Avia Nara. She's a Bulgaris. So at the time of the ruling, there's no Avi Hanaro. No, she will get it. No, she will get it. She will get it. And let's say at a later that she's no longer alive, her son will get it. That's what we're saying. Okay? So now we have a question. Okay? Hashna yeshnam yishbag v'kevavki kochav ubeno yoris lo im yesh lo ben. Yoris. Sinmar has a question. What happens like this? Listen to the story. She's raped when she's 12, and subsequently she gives birth. Well, the Gemara's going to have to work out the case, and she has a son. So when she died in Nara. That means she had to give birth in 4 months. Right. Let's see, she's raped on her 12th birthday, and then she conceives a child. Yeah, and then she dies before she's 12 and a half. The Gemara's going to ask, how do you work this out? Okay, there was enough time for her to conceive and give birth, but she died before she was 12 and a half. Okay, listen to the story. And now the court rules, if she'd be alive, she'd be 15. So she left over a son, but at the time that she died, she was a Nara. You got it? She was a Nara. So now who gets the knas? Do we look at it, if she would have been alive, she would have been Bulgaris, therefore the son would get the knas? Or do we say, Ein Baga Bekev? The fact is, the clock stopped when she died. So when she died, who was the father? He was Avi Nara. So the knas will go to the father. That was Rava's question. If she dies, does it go to the son because the clock continues ticking as if she'd be alive? Because she would no longer be a Nara, she'd be a Bulgaris, fully mature woman. Or do you say, no, for all intents and purposes, after she dies, what happens? The father's no longer here. I mean, she's no longer here. Therefore, the rule goes Avia Nara. So who's the Avia Nara? It never went to the daughter. It goes to the father. So the father would receive it, the son would not receive it. See, Abai said it's simple. The moment she dies, there's no knas to what? To the father. Because that's called Avia Mesa. But we see from Rava's Shaila, it's not so simple. Because he's saying, do we look at her as if she's alive in the grave and the clock keeps ticking? Or do we say, no, I see her as if she's dead in the grave, and who would receive it? The father would receive it. So Mar asks a question. Udovia Havig. Udovia. So Umi Ma'abro. I mean, how is it possible? How could she become pregnant and give birth? Yeah? And die before she's a Bulgaris? Yeah? She can only conceive after she's 12. So what happened? She was raped if she was 12. She conceived, she had a son. Now when was the son born? The son had to be born before she died, right? I mean, she had to die before she was 12 and a half. Now I have my Shiloh. If we say the clock stops when she dies, you pay the knas to the father. But if she died before she was 12, how did she ever have a son? Right? The gestation period wasn't sufficient. Smart says, Mima Abra, unless you say, Shalosh Noshim Shamshis B'moch. 3 women could use contraception. Who are they? Ketana, Umuberes, Uminiko. A minor between the age of 11 and 12, if she becomes pregnant, she may not be able to, that pregnancy will not come to fruition, she'll die. What about if she's pregnant already? If she conceives while she's pregnant, the second pregnancy could destroy the first. And what's the third one? Muberes uminika. If she's nursing, she becomes pregnant, so the woman stops lactating, so what's she going to feed? She's not going to be able to nurse that child. These 3 women could use contraception. What? Because of their state of being. If she's pregnant, because the second conception may destroy the first, the fetus. What's a katana? Between the age of 11 and 12. Before the age of 11, a girl will not conceive. But between the age of 11 and 12, she could conceive, and that conception will not lead to, she won't be able to deliver. She's going to die. Therefore, it's a question of pikuach nefesh. Therefore, she could use contraception. If she's less than 11 or more than 12, she's not permitted to use contraception because there's no danger. She becomes pregnant, she'll give birth beyond the age of 11, 12. They argue, we have this in Yavamas. Why? Min Hashemayim Yerachmu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have Rachmanis. Mishum Shenema Hashem B'Psoim Hashem. Hashem watches over the fools. It's a helpless situation. Leave it at be. So if that's the case, we have a problem here. So when did she become pregnant? If she passed away when she was a Nara, there was enough time. So she had to become pregnant when? Before she was 12. Before she's 12, it doesn't lead to birth, right? She became pregnant when she was in Nara, and she gave birth when she was in Nara. It's only a 6-month period. Could she give birth from time of conception to birth in 6 months? It's only a 6-month period, Nairus. From adulthood to fully mature, it's only 6 months. What? No, cannot be more than 6 months. No, she reaches puberty. From puberty, 6 months, she's a full mature woman after puberty. So let's say she reaches puberty at 12. The clock starts, she's a full adult. She's fully mature woman 6 months later. No matter what. Then she's a katana. Everything. She's a katana, everything. For everything. No, she's a katana. That's an islandess. Because there she will never develop as a normal woman. You understand? Because there she will never reach puberty. There she never reaches puberty. She's a katana until she... Right, exactly. Right, of course. No, so the Gemara says, "V'chi tema botze hu daleko hatfeiko." 1 second. So the says maybe like this. What happens at the age of 12? She didn't reach puberty. We're saying between the age of 11 and 12, if she becomes pregnant, she'll die. Right? What happens? She became pregnant. She didn't reach puberty at the age of 12. She became pregnant. So because since physically she's more older, even though she didn't reach puberty, there she won't die. And let's say 10 months later she reached puberty. So you can have a case, right? She was raped, even though if she's... No, it's not true. If she's 11 and 12, it's not puberty. No, conception, she can be a minor and conceive. You can conceive before puberty. That's why she uses contraception. She can't deliver. Delivery cannot be unless you reach puberty. Yes, definitely. Sure. She can be a need at 6 years old. Need is unrelated to being able to have a child. No. Both. It's both. Right. It's not considered adulthood. But she could conceive. She could conceive before. But she'll die if she gives birth. Okay, you know something? We're going to stop here.